Today, I'd like to look at APA formatting and writing your title page. Uh, the title page, obviously, is the very first thing that your professor will read. Uh, Naturally, then, it's important to start with a good first impression and not make any mistakes, silly mistakes, on your title page. If you make silly mistakes or little minor errors, and your teacher is nitpicky, which most of us are, it's really going to put set them in maybe a bad mood, or you're starting off on the wrong foot right away before they've even opened up your essay to read the content. You might have done great research, made great arguments, but if they've started in a bad mood because you made little mistakes on your title page, that's such a silly way to lose marks and probably end up with a grade that you weren't expecting. So let's look today at how to write a good title page, a perfect title page, and APA formatting in general, just make sure that these general rules are followed and you're not losing tiny little mistakes or putting your professor in a bad mood. So let's jump right into it. Okay, well, let's start with APA formatting first. Now, different universities have different style guides that they follow. When I was an undergraduate student, my university in Toronto followed Chicago. Um, but then when I went to grad school in Vancouver, I ended up using APA. And then when I became a professor to teach at universities, we use APA. I think most universities, or a lot of universities, use the APA. So that's what we're going to focus on today. I want you to take a look at a snapshot from a sample essay. What do you notice about the formatting? Okay, so here's a snapshot. Don't want you to look at the in-text citations. I don't want you to look at the way they've uh, cited the direct quotes or paraphrase citations. I don't want you to look at any of that. I just want you to take a look at this snapshot, like it's pulled right off the page of a student's essay, and just look overall. How does it look? What do you notice about it? What do you see? And just take a look for a second and see, how does it appear? How does it look in general? All right, so let's look in detail and highlight the things you should be noticing, and therefore these rules that you should be following when you write your essay. Okay, so once again, this is just a little side snapshot from that sample of a student's essay. The first thing you should notice that it's double spaced. It's not single spaced, it's not 1.5 spaced, it's double spaced. Now, if you don't know how to do that, you should go Google how to double space in a Microsoft Word doc, or if you're writing on a Google Doc, how to double space. It's usually up in the formatting tools of the program that you're using, and make sure that you know how to double space your essay. I think the majority of style guides expect double spacing. It looks cleaner. If it's printed out, it's easier to write in. It's just the way it is. So make sure your essay is double spaced. I'm surprised how many students, even after we go through this, provide single spaced essays. No, you've got to go in and you've got to set the spacing to double spaced. Next thing is the font. 12-point font is generally the default that you should be using. There are some other exceptions in APA that are accepted now. 11 point for certain fonts, but generally speaking, I would just say play it safe and go with 12-point font always. That goes for everything. You don't increase the size of your font for your titles or your title page. No, everything in your essay should be 12-point font. And what kind of font? Again, generally speaking, Times New Roman is the best bet. There are a few others that are accepted now under APA. That was a recent rule change. However, I mean, you can if you want to, but I would just go with Times New Roman 12-point font. Play it safe. There should be 2.54 centimeter, i.e. 1-inch margins on all sides. That should be default on Microsoft Word or Google Docs, but double check. Just make sure you've got 1-inch margins all around the sides of the essay. It should be default, but just make sure that's correct. This is critical. All new paragraphs need to start with indentation. Some students don't know how to do an indentation. They just hit the space bar multiple times, and that's not going to give you an accurate or consistent sizing for your indents. No, the way to indent is the tab key. You should see on your keyboard, T-A-B, tab. Just put the cursor in front of the start of your sentence when it's a new paragraph and hit tab once, and it will automatically shoot it to where it needs to be. Every new paragraph needs to start with an indented tab press. And notice something else. There's no double line break between your paragraphs. Yes, everything is double spaced, but when you start a new paragraph, it starts immediately on the next line down. It is double spaced, so there is a line of white space, but there's not 2 lines of white space, so 3 lines of white space. A lot of students seem to do that. They double line break between their paragraphs, so it's too much space. No, your new paragraph starts immediately underneath the previous paragraph. No double line breaks between paragraphs. Okay, so that's basic APA formatting. If you're making mistakes on this, probably not going to get a good score in your essay, so make sure you follow these rules for APA. Now, let's talk about the title page. Once again, I will reiterate because it's so important. This is the very first thing that the professor will see, so it's not even important to make it good. It's because that should be standard. It should be good. I mean, it's expected that it's going to not have any mistakes. It's important not to make it bad. Okay, so just doing a great title page, okay, that's kind of the standard. Don't make it bad. That's the real critical thing here. So how do you not make it poor? Well, let's take a look. I want you to think for a second. What information do you think is necessary to include on your title page? You might not know all the information in APA version 7 that is expected to be included on your title page. But of course, this is critical. Anything missing, that's a big problem. If it's done in the incorrect format, that's a big problem. So let's start with the information that you need to include, personal information that you need to include on your title page. I'll give you a hint. There's actually 7 items of information or things that should appear, for lack of a better word, on your title page. You can pause the video, but I want you to think about those 7 things that need to be on your title page now. Okay, so let's take a look. Here is an example that's been highlighted or broken down into its component parts of an APA 7, version 7 title page. Notice, first of all that information needs to be centered on your page about 1/3 of the way down. I've heard it's 4 returns clicks. You'd have to verify that. I'm not 100% sure. But it used to always be right in the middle of your title page. I think in APA 6 and before, but in APA 7, now it's 1/3 of the way down your title page. So everything's centered, but it's not directly in the center of your title page. It's about 1/3, starting about 1/3 of the way down from the top of the page. And yeah, here are the 7 pieces of information that you need to include, and it's important that you keep them in this order as well. So, okay, number 1 is actually the page number. That needs to be in the top right, and you need to insert that manually. And if, again, you need to go into the kind of toolbar at the top of either Microsoft Word or Google Docs and insert page number top right. If you don't know how to do that, just Google how to insert a page number into your Microsoft Word doc or a Google Doc. Now, let's get to the meaty part of the information. Of course, being a title page, the very first thing that you need to include is your title. Okay, and I've already done a previous video on how to write a good title, but first piece of information, aside from the page number, is your title, and that needs to be bolded. That's the only thing that needs to be bolded on your title page, but your title must be bolded. I've already gone into in detail in how to write the title, what needs to be capitalized, how to use colons if it's a 2-part title, etc., etc. But just remember that your title needs to be bolded, and it's the first major piece of information on the title page. Following that is your name, whoever's writing it. If you're writing your own essay, you need to put your name. Just notice that there is a double line break now between the title of your title of your essay and your own name. That's the only double line break. Everything else needs to be regular double spaced. Here, there is a double line break, so be careful of that. Part 3 is not only your school's name spelled out fully. Don't use the acronym, the short form. Use the full name of your university or college. But before that, you need to put your department. Which major are you belonging to, or which faculty? That's first. department of blah, 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 comma, and then the fully spelled out university's name. Okay, so just really don't forget that. A lot of students forget to put their department first before their university's name, department that you're majoring in, comma, and then the full spelling out of your university or college's name. After that, you need your course name. Notice that there is a acronym first, the course code, colon, and then the fully spelled out name for your course that you're submitting this essay for. After that is your instructor's name. If they are a PhD, you should include doctor, maybe confirm with the professor first, or maybe find that out. If they're not a doctor, if they're not a PhD holder, then they obviously won't have the doctor, just the name. And then finally, the due date. The due date, that's when the essay is due, whatever the date your professor sets as the due date, not the day you submit your essay, because you might submit it early. No, it needs to be the date that the professor set as the submission date. So not when you're submitting it, but when the professor set the final deadline for this essay. All right, and that's what the title page should look like. Notice it's very clean. It's a lot of white space. Everything's neatly ordered, and everything is in the correct order. So again, technically you're starting with your page number in the top right, but then you're getting into the main personal information, starting with the title that you've written, a double line break, your name, your department that you're majoring in, and then the university's name, the course code, and then the name of the course fully spelled out, your professor's name, and the date that the actual essay is due according to your teacher. And that's the page one of your essay. Again, it's expected that this will be perfect. So doing it well is not going to, raise your grade by a huge amount. But if you do it wrong, that's where the issue is. That will really drop your grade because it's going to put your professor in a bad mood right off the start. If you can't even get this correct, if you can't even get this right, why am I even reading the rest of your essay? It's going to put them in a bad mood. I mean, your professors are human. The realities of human beings, they're going to look negatively on your essay right from the start if you make APA mistakes, minor mistakes. You might think it's minor, professor will not. Most of us are really nitpicky about APA. It's the way we've been trained. So don't make any mistakes on this. Follow this guideline, and at least you're starting off the right foot, and then going into the actual essay itself on page 2. All right, so that's everything today. We're just going to finish with a quick titles quiz. Make sure that you know all these answers. So let's go through a quick titles quiz together. You can answer, and I'll give you the answer immediately after a second or two. So number 1, a good title should include, what do you think? A, no topic. B, the narrow topic. C, a specific thesis. Well, the answer to this is, of course, the narrow topic. All right, we talked about that in the How to Write a Title PowerPoint and video. A good title always includes, is it your full thesis statement, counter-argument, or a suggestion of your thesis? The answer is C, a suggestion of your thesis. You don't want to give away your full thesis because that's what you're going to do in the intro paragraph. You just want to give a hint about what your argument is going to be in your title. Your title should be full sentence, a phrase, or an independent clause. The answer is B, phrase. An independent clause is a full sentence, a full grammatically correct sentence. You don't want to have a full sentence for your title. It just needs to be part of a sentence, i.e. a phrase. True or false? All small words in the title should be capitalized. Well, that's false. Only the first word should be capitalized, or in terms of small words, content words. If it's, for example, the, that would be capitalized, or and. If it's the first word of the title, same. If it's a two-part title, and a small word is after the colon, yes, that also needs to be capitalized. But all other small words, usually 3 letters or less, are not capitalized. Good title should end with a question mark, a period, an exclamation point, and none of the above. If you said D, none of the above, that's absolutely right. No punctuation in the title, except perhaps a colon if it's a 2-part title. That's it. True or false? The title should always be bolded. That's true. Yes, it always should be bolded, both on your title page and when you start your essay on page 2. You have to repeat your title at the top of page 2. That also needs to be bolded as well. Titles are always bolded. True or false? The title should be underlined. That's false. Titles are not underlined in APA. Okay, never underlined. Just bold. That's it. Which is better for an academic essay? A one-part title, a two-part title, or either acceptable? The answer is C. Yeah, both are acceptable. It's really up to you, whichever you think is best. One-part title or a two-part title, either is fine. And you should separate a two-part title with a, we talked about it in a few of the other questions, but the answer is a colon. A colon is how you separate a two-part title. It's not a hyphen, it's not a semicolon, it's a colon, dot, dot, if you're going to write a two-part title. Last question, final one. How many times should your title appear in your essay? Kind of gave the answer just a couple of questions ago, but the answer is it once, twice, three times, or never? Hopefully not never. Of course, your title should appear in your essay twice. Once on your title page, and then again repeated on the top of page 2 before you begin your intro paragraph. All right, so that is the end of the title quiz. Hopefully you got all the answers correct. And that is the end of our video today. Good luck with your title page. Again, you're not going to get great marks if you get it right, but you're probably going to lose a lot of marks if you get it wrong. So don't get it wrong. See you next time. Have a great day.